and start our recording. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to today's call. First, I want to thank Doug Wood for willing to join us today. Doug is an amazing man, as most of you guys have seen. And Doug, this is the team that's joined today, and there's probably people that will join up a little bit later, and we're recording this for a lot of people who weren't able to make this morning's call. Doug's the integrated presidential director. I've known him for about 7 or 8 years now and got to spend lots of time with him at Sundance and all the great meetings, and got to know him really well personally. And you know, the passion that comes from this guy is completely infectious, and as many of you guys have seen. And he's got an amazing story that we don't get to hear all the time, you know, because we keep getting new people that tell their stories. And him and Tia have built just an unbelievable business with courage, passion. If you guys are friends with him on Facebook, you could see, you know, how much passion and courage he has to just put himself out there. And it's completely inspiring, as most of you know. And so, Doug, we really appreciate you coming on to share your wisdom today with the team. And just to kind of give a brief idea of this format, we're just going to ask some questions about when you started, what you've learned, and how you're growing and what you're doing now. And just kind of everybody could take notes and glean a lot of good information from you. So how's that sound?
That sounds good, Gary. And thank you. You know, before we get started, I just want to really stop and just say thank you. You know, I look at over the last 7 to 8 years since my transformation started, and I'm just going to call it a life transformation, because I kind of feel like, I know back in history it says BC and AD. I kind of feel like before Optavia and after Optavia. Once you're exposed to, you know, the trilogy and what's possible, I just kind of feel like your life looks different. And I kind of take, it's like making up a recipe, and it's like one ingredient without the other. Something's going to look or feel or different. Sometimes that's what's going to be missing. And Gary, some of yours and I's conversations and talks, I can think vividly at our talks, mainly at Sundance, because that's where we get the time to just kind of be around the fire and have these key conversations. But I just want to thank you for speaking life and encouraging me over the last few years too, because, you know, mentorship is reciprocal, and the things that you've spoken and assisted T and I with, I'm just honored to be able to come on here this morning and maybe give a little bit back.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. So where we'd love to start is back in the beginning, right? To kind of hear your story and kind of hear a little bit more about like how you started and when you were in the furniture business, and just kind of walk us through what happened, how you got excited. We'll kind of start there so everyone could kind of get freshened up on your story. Yeah,
most definitely. Well, 7.5 years ago, I was surfing through Facebook, and I saw, after starting a lot of diet, I think somebody might be off mute. Oh, I think, okay. Maybe we're fixed now. So I discovered the program when a buddy of mine, you know, was posting about him starting a new journey on Facebook. And I watched him for a couple of weeks, and after 2 weeks in of him being down 14 pounds, I mean, obviously we all know the program works. I was like, I cry uncle. I'm buying you coffee and you're telling me what you're doing. And so that's when I found out about the program. And I was one of those rare credit card throwers. Like, I don't care. Just, I want your results so bad. And I did the program. But then I chose to pay it forward about halfway into my journey. A little bit resistant to paying it forward, but I needed accountability. So that is what I have found is the number one thing that most people are looking for is community or accountability, because they want to be a part of something bigger than them, because they've done and tried everything on their own, and they realize that we're better together. We are better because we're doing this Zoom, and I know you guys start your Monday mornings right here. We're better together by setting our week straight and getting things focused by being here together this morning. And so I, you know, at the time I owned a furniture store, and I made for I don't care where you live. I think, you know, pushing 6 figures is a pretty good income. And I did that owning my own furniture company, had about 15 employees. And I was just helping a few buddies out on the side, you know, when I started coaching. And I'll never forget the first paycheck that Optavia paid Tia, because I really wasn't doing that much. She was supporting about 8 people. She had hit what I now found out was manager. And I don't know if they had direct deposit then, but all I knew is a check came in the mailbox. And I went out and got the mail, and normally it was stacked full of a lot of bills at the time because my company costed me a lot of time, but I was not afraid of hard work. But it also paid me decent, but again, I had a lot of debt, a lot of bills to deal with to be able to do that. And I'll never forget walking to the mailbox that day, and I got the mail, and it said, "From Take Shape for Life." I opened it up, and at first I thought it was a bill. And I said, "Oh my gosh, what did Tia get us into?" And then I opened it up, and it was a check for $742. And I called my health coach, and I said, "Is this legit?" She's like, "Yeah, Tia's helped about 8 or 9 people. That's about what they should be paying you." I'm like, wow. And for me, it was just an answer to prayer because we wanted to put our girls in private school, and we had just said no, and we had them enrolled at a different school. And that check came in, and I'm like, "Tia," and I even said, "You need to keep doing this coaching thing because now Amaya can go to the school that we wanted her in." And it's amazing how, Gary, this program is such a program of results. We know that if we follow the quick start guide, our clients will get the results. Same thing with health coaching. If we just share this program with enough people, we get paid to do for how many conversations we start and how many people we share it with. And to me, I looked at that check and I said, if there's more where that came from, I'll do whatever it takes to get it because we wanted freedom so bad. And I would say that was in early 2010. And in the last 7 years, it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, it sure has for you guys, for sure. So in 2010, you guys start this business and you start running wild for it. And can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of like the things that you did in the beginning that now you've shifted, like, because a lot of people, a lot of coaches come in, they're new, and everyone thinks they really know what to do, right? Like most people think that, oh, they got this, but they don't realize that, well, they're going to learn. It's like being a baby, you got to crawl and then you can walk and build your competencies up. So what kind of things did you do in the beginning that you now go not to do now, that you try to teach your new coaches not to do?
Not to do. I resisted three-way calls because I thought that I had an agenda, or excuse me, I didn't have an agenda. I thought that I knew more than my coach did. Now I know the next question is, Doug, what do you do when you have coaches that won't do three-way calls? We can talk about that if you want to. But I was one of those that was just resistant to the structure because I'm like, he doesn't know my people. And after I shared the program after I told and I sold the program about 15 times and nobody signed up, maybe one person, I went back to my coach kind of with my tail between my legs. I'm like, all right, it's not working for me. Tia's, the way she's doing it's working. What's the miss? And so I was resistant to that. Gary, but after that, Tia and I began to look at everything in big picture. What we have figured out and what we've saw also in Optavia is people are trying to achieve massive results and massive, sure, we could measure things on a rank, but I just think Office of Motion is a delayed response to the work you do today. It just says, congratulations, here's a smiley face for everything that you did last month or the month before. So we looked at everything at the time, I looked in 5 years. I was asked in the Living a Longer, Healthier Companion Guide, it asks, where do you want to be in 1 year? And then in 2 to 5 years. Well, I did a 1, a 2, and a 5. And my 5 was, I just wanted freedom. And so we looked at everything and said, where are we going to be at? We're investing in this business and in people in 5 years. And what we also were not willing to do was sacrifice a relationship. It's kind of like people over profit. We're never going to sacrifice a relationship with somebody we've known all of our life and ask someone to marry us on the first date. That's kind of weird. Chances are it's probably going to be no, and you're never going to get to date that person again. But what if that would have been the right person? What we started to do was we were so excited about Optavia. And I also want you guys to know, you notice the way I'm talking about Optavia? I know we're newly Optavia. But to me, it's like I've always wanted to be Optavia, so I'm Optavia. So 7 years ago, what we did the first couple months was we told a lot of people about Optavia. You need to be a coach. You need to do this program. You should. You ought to. And what we did was we kind of burned, I'm not going to say we burned bridges, but I did ask some people to basically go global with Optavia. And all they were is just friends. And I was kind of needing and shooting on them for a long time. And so we kind of pulled back a little bit and we realized, okay, that approach might be, some people it looks like are a little turned off and by that. And we were too, because we were just excited though. Like we had found this freedom, but it's kind of like going and seeing a movie or a concert that you love. And then you go out the next day and tell everybody that they had to have been there. They should have been there. They needed to be there. And it's like, cool, yeah, I'll go see it. But clearly you were just there and you had a really good time. I think we learned to channel our excitement to invest in the relationship of going, okay, this person doesn't have the excitement that we have, and why should they? So we invested in relationship from after that first 6 months. We invested in our relationship with other people and going, okay, if this person doesn't become a client or a coach for 6 months or a year, are we okay with that? And we just said yes, 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 and yes. We're not trying to build something in 1 year. We're looking at 5 to 7 years. And now I've started to see that come true. And so we just met with people, build relationship with people, be intentional in relationships and less about the outcome. And what we were doing was building trust and value with our friends and our family. And then they also saw consistency in us. And then sometimes we would even go out of our way, Gary, to not bring up Optavia. They would even try to ask us. Like we go out to, I'm going to change locations here for a second. We would even go out of our way, like at dinner, or we'd invite somebody over for a Super Bowl party. And they'd be like, so what is this business anyway? And we'd like talk about it and say something, but we'd divert the question. We call it a pivot because we would always protect we never wanted people to think that that's what we were only about. We're about people. We invited them over for a Super Bowl party. We didn't invite them over for a bait and switch party to Optavia. So anyway, I could go on about that, but that's probably what we did do the first couple of months that we realized was a little too much. And now we're just invested in the relationship long-term in it. And it's built trust with people to where they almost come to you going, all right, are you going to tell me about this thing or not? It's like you make people want it more because they see that you're doing something different and they want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, one of the most important points here, right? Because this is a network marketing business, that we have an awesome product and it's an amazing product, but ultimately to build this business, it's through people that we know. And a lot of people go out and push a little too hard. And like you said, it doesn't burn bridges, but it definitely puts up walls really quick, right? And so that's a huge, huge point. So how long did it take you guys to make that shift? Because I think that's a common problem with a lot of coaches, right? Is that if we could teach them how to do what you just said, and then I'm going to circle back and ask a little bit more about building relationships. But if we could teach people how to build relationships and not view everybody as a potential coach or client, like how much faster people could actually grow their business. It may look slower, but it's more consistent.
Right.
James, this is Bonnie.
I think a phone number is off mute.
I got it.
Okay. Well, what I'm doing right now is, and not that I don't want anyone to be focused on the now and the business of now, of finishing your month strong and what we can do between October, November, and December. But as we start to move in this season right now, we know January is coming up and less than 4 months away. Looking at your business and going, are you okay if your clients are not ready to get healthy until January? And I'm okay with it because I know I'm going to still be a health coach and I'm still going to be as focused as I ever have been in January. And so, Gary, I'm going out of my way to start conversations and just say hello and to build trust with people, new people. I'm not talking about people, sure, maybe a few people I've shared with in the past, but I became friends. I use Facebook a lot. I became friends with 77 new people this month. And I'll give you an example. And speaking of that, I'm sitting out here on my patio just because it's nice today. But T and I are getting ready to we moved to Arizona for the sunshine, and we're 3 years in now, and we're like, okay, now we know what we want for a patio. And so we've been out looking at these patio furniture places for some new patio furniture. And the other day I was in one, and this gal, her name is Tanya. She was our salesperson. I'm like, man, I'm sitting there going, Tanya could, first of all, she was such a happy person. She was a single mom, older, but single daughter in high school. And she's talking just about how she works a lot, but she loves being a designer for patio furniture and all this stuff. And I said, so we just started asking questions and stuff. And I'm like, in my head, here's what I'm thinking. This gal is going to be an amazing health coach. She's going to be a global director in a couple of years. And also, the side effect, she's probably going to lose some weight. See, that's how I see it. This person needs the trilogy. Now, whether she wants it, some things she says she wants it, but now she's still got to do the work, all this different stuff. So that's how I see it. That's how big I see it. This gal's going to be a global director in about 3 to 4 years, maybe sooner. I don't know. She won't become a client for 3 months or 6 months or maybe 3 years. I don't know. It takes time. But you know what we did? I grabbed her card and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tanya, you are so cool. T and I were there, so it wasn't me being a creepy guy. I said, Tanya, you're on Facebook, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to find you. We got to stay connected. Whether I end up buying this furniture or not, you're awesome. You're like our type of peeps. She goes, oh my gosh, you guys are cool too. I immediately went and found her on Facebook. When we got in the car, Tia sent her a little message, us 3 combined. Tanya, thank you so much. You're awesome. Hope you and your daughter stay well. We'll be in touch about the furniture. Guess what? We're friends on Facebook. We started a conversation with her, and she's going to start seeing the way we live our life. And while I'm on that subject, I don't get, now again, this is a personal choice. I don't get overly opinionated on Facebook because I use it to build relationships. And I understand a lot of people are really attached to beliefs and their agenda. And I'm attached to, do we all just want to live a better life? Do we all just want to be healthy? We get so caught up in pointing fingers at the right, left, up, down, who said this, who does that, and this world is so divided to where I just think I try to bring people together. That's how I put my life out there on Facebook. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how I choose. But hopefully as Tanya posts and I post, we're going to start building this relationship, because here's what I know. Tanya is going to become a client of the program in either January, February, or March. I'm that confident because I'm going to stay in touch with her. So my point to all that, Gary, I became friends with 77 new people this month on Facebook, but I'm looking at everything in 3 to 6 months increments. So I'm starting with the end in mind and then working backwards of going, okay, she's going to be a client and she's going to be a coach. Well, what do I need to do now for that to happen? Well, I can't go bomb on her and hand her an Optavia card and send her to my website. That's just weird. That'd be like asking her to marry me on the first date. It's weird. But what I can do is say hello, start building a relationship with her. Shoot, you never know. If we have an online relationship with her, she might be coming over to our Super Bowl party in February. And we'll go out of our way not to bring out what we do. We want to build trust. We want to build value. And when the timing is right, either she'll ask or we'll feel like we've earned the right to say, you know what? Do you love what you do? How's today's patio working out for you? We coach people all over the country, and based on what you've told me, you'd be a heck of a health coach. Would you ever want to explore possibly doing that? We need more people like you. And I'll ask her, not do you want to be a coach? I'll say, do you want to explore? And then her first response might be like, oh my gosh, I've got 30 pounds to lose. I can't be a coach. I'm like, that's the easy part. Let's talk about that too. But because we can't train quality people. You know, I think integrity, value, desire for more, wanting to better our life. I think sometimes people either have it or they don't. I don't know if you teach someone that. So anyway, Gary, I'm getting a little off, but that'd be my thoughts of that.
Feel free to go off, man. We've seen some of your Facebook posts, and the juice is always the good juice is always in the later end sometimes of the post. So speaking of that, so when you're looking for coaches, so what do you look for in coaches? Are you open to just, I mean, obviously you're open to anyone becoming a client, but we specifically, when you go to sponsor, we've kind of started to learn that, hey, just sponsoring everybody in sight might not be a good use of our time. And how do we look for like people we think have that quality, that integrity, maybe even that drive, to grow? What are your and Tia's philosophies on looking for coaches and figuring out which ones you think would be the best?
Well, I look for them in two ways. One way is your current client base. Who just doesn't know what they don't know? But then again, I look at my integrated clients, and we all know what integrated clients are. I mean, and just so you know, an integrated client does not mean they're a connoisseur of the habits of health. They're on the right track. They're in touch with you. Maybe they haven't opened their habits of health yet, but maybe they're getting on the habits of health call every even other week. They're maybe active in the client support, page a little bit, or they're just staying in touch with you. An integrated client is telling you, gosh, dang it, Doug, I bombed yesterday. That's someone who's honest, who's not avoiding you, So that's how I look at, there's a lot of variations of, okay, what is a true integrated client? I'm just looking for people who are trying to figure it out. They're not avoiding me. They have a desire for more, and they're starting to tap into our community a little bit. So I always look in my current client base and go, who just doesn't know what they don't know? I'll tell you, I'm not looking for know-it-alls or difficult clients, or just because someone's not sticking to the program and they're not on any calls and never around, I'm not telling them they need to be a health coach, because chances are the way that they do program is the way that they're going to coach. And if I talk someone into coaching, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but they're going to be a lot of work for probably not a lot of value to Optavia or to their clients. Okay. But how I look at everything now is I have a whiteboard in my office in here, and it has a list of potential clients and it has a list of potential coaches. My potential coach list is far longer than my potential client list, because again, Gary, one of the things I did in the beginning was I fat profiled. I thought only people that could do our program needed to lose weight. And our program is healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. Our program is Optavia. People need different slivers of our program. But it's they might not start with it. Sure, I'd like someone to start with 5 and 1 so they can feel fat burn. But some of our best health coaches have never lost any bit of weight. They just, their time and their finances maybe were out of order. And so now I look for people who have a desire for more, who have an attractive personality, who are successful in other areas of their life, especially people that volunteer, because they would all people who volunteer would love to volunteer more. They're usually lacking time or money. Okay. I'm looking for other people who serve or give back to the community a lot. Pastors, school teachers, people who lead groups, maybe at your church or in the community, like Celebrate Recoveries, or things that they're giving back to their community, but their chances are they're not being paid super well for it. Those are the type of people that I'm going out of my way to build relationship with, because I'm not looking at their waistline. I'm looking at their mind and their personality. And because here Doug is, picture me 265 more pounds all over my body. Here's this, to me, this energetic guy with big dreams and big goals, swallowed up in 65 extra pounds of flesh. And all of a sudden that came off. It's like my spirit, my soul woke up, and it was like, man, there's that 22-year-old. He's back to life. He's just been hiding in this shell for the last 17 years. So that's how I look at everybody. I'm looking for quality, awesome people, no matter what they look like. And then the side effect is they're going to lose some weight if they are who they say they are, or if, not even who they say they are. I'm going to watch them, who they are, how they interact, what their desires are, and know that, okay, the program is the easy part. If there's a desire for more, Helen Irwin talks about, the answer to how is yes. Well, how does it, because we all get caught up in how much does it cost? How does it taste? How does it work? And I respect the details, But honestly, do the details really matter if the biggest desire is, do I want to be healthy, or is what you're doing right now working for you? If you keep doing right now, over the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, will you be closer to your goals? If the answer is no, then do you want to be healthy? Yes. Well, then let's figure out the details along the way. So.
Awesome. I've heard you share a couple times, especially at the last convention, that to share that you're an Optavia coach. Like, where before we weren't really saying we were a Take Shape for Life. We weren't, because we were the confusion between Medifast and Take Shape for Life. And so I thought that was absolutely super powerful, and kind of talked to my team about that whole idea of, hey, now saying an Optavia coach is actually cool. It's hip because it's different. Can you share a little bit about you doing that now and what responses you're getting from doing that?
Yeah, I kind of feel like Take Shape for Life was weight loss, and Optavia is health. Although weight loss is a part of health, it's just such a minor component. And now I know that our company, and with Dan Chard and Dr. Ray, they're so forward thinking. What I love about that is they're so visionary. The hard part is sometimes they don't like to make big moves until they get it 100% right. That's also good. They protect us. Our company protects us from just getting too big for our own britches and making a mistake. So the answer is slow is fast, yes. But I'm just thinking we're going to be developing more and more tools that take us beyond weight loss. And that's what I'm excited about, sports nutrition and a lot of other things. And I don't know when that's coming. I have no clue on that, although we're asking for it and it's on its way. But I just look at things I used to say as I'm kind of just being unplugged here, Gary, but it's kind of like, I feel like TSFL sometimes was like a weight loss recovery center. And I don't know about you, but I spent 5 years, when I spent 14 weeks losing my weight, I spent the next 5.5 years trying to maintain it. And now as I become an Optavia coach, I'm focused at like becoming a health transformer, not a weight loss survivor. And so my thoughts on that is, I think Optavia has a piece and a sliver for everybody. How many are ready for it? How many are really ready for Optavia? That I don't know, but that also takes time, because I was 33 years old when I discovered Optavia, but I know some people might be 43 or 53 or 63 or 73 until they discover it or are ready for it. I jokingly say this, but we have some of the millennial generation on our team, and it's not. I don't jokingly say that. I love the millennials because their work ethic is none like any other. However, what I've also discovered about them is that they haven't quite lived enough life to know how great Optavia is. How many of you guys are like, man, I wish Optavia would have came into my life sooner, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know if we would have been ready for it. Had we lived enough life to gone out and we needed to almost try some other things, salt our oats, if you will, out here before we're like, okay, there's something going on here if I just tap into that. So, but what I do love, I want to clean that up, is what I love about the millennials, their work ethic. And once they align the purity of who Optavia is, they do really well, except in their peer group. Not a lot of other of them all see the bigger picture yet. And that's okay. And that's why I'm so focused on the relationship, because Tanya, my sales associate from the patio store, why I can confidently say, I don't know when she'll become a client or a coach, I'm not attached to it. It's also like about 5 years ago when T and I hit before the blended path was started, you could only be executive director by $6,000 in frontline volume. And I remember after 3 to 4 months in a row of inching over the line to 6,000 just to hit our rank, we're like, why do we always set our benchmark at 6,000? I'm like, well, that's what Dan Bell decided. I'm like, is Dan Bell going to decide my future, or are we going to decide it? So once we kind of removed that barrier of, okay, here's what the company says they'll reward us for this rank, why don't we just put the focus on people? And what T and I did was, We focus every single month. It's a little different now. Ours is more coach focused, but anybody that's running from 0 to I want to be global director in the worst way. If all people did was focus on the 5 and 1, 5 new clients a month and 1 new coach. And some people say, well, that's not fast enough. I want to do more. It's not about how fast you get there. It's about the consistency. Because at the end of a year, 5 clients a month, 60 clients. And that's 12 new health coaches. It's process and numbers. 12 new health coaches, I guarantee you're going to have 5 to 7 senior coaches of those. That's FIBC strong. 5 to 7 coaches, senior coaches, always yield 2 to 3 EDs, I think. That's a national business, a fully integrated national business 1 year from right now. Let's just say even on the low end, it's making $5,000 a month. And then you just did that the second year? That's a strong global business in 2 years from right now. So look at everything, where we're going in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, and just do the small incremental things like the 5 and 1. If you want to be a little more aggressive, I do like people that have short-term goals that really want to do a lot between like now and January. Okay, 7 to 8 clients, that's aggressive, but it can be done. You better be starting a heck of a lot of conversations. And 1 to 2 health coaches, but don't get attached if I didn't do 2. I would rather someone do the 5 and 1 versus going on and off on the 7 to 8 and 2. Well, I only did 3 this month and only 0 health coaches. Like, just go for the 5 and 1 and do that consistently. And I don't think you'll ever be disappointed, Gary.
Do you find that when you do 5 and 1 that it's one of those 5 new clients become a coach, or you're still looking at your entire base and you're not sure where that coach is coming from, but you're just looking for 5 new clients and 1 coach throughout your base?
Yeah, because it's 100% the work you did last month or the month before is your client or coach this month. So every single conversation you start today, you're going, this person's not going to become a client. And if they are, treat it as a bonus. And some of you guys might be going, well, I'd like to be a little bit more. I don't like your thinking, Doug. You should assume that everyone's going to become a client today. Well, the truth is, unless you figured out some magical system, in my 7.5 years, I found that not to be true. As good as I am at sharing the program, people need to think about it, pray about it, talk to their spouse about it, do something about it. They're not all like me throwing their credit card. So I'm just going, okay, the conversation I start today will maybe hopefully yield an explore or a health assessment next month, which then will yield to maybe a me following up 2 or 3 weeks later, which will yield them starting the program the day after Thanksgiving, which will then yield me a health coach in January. That means they're going to be senior coach or ED in February or March. Again, some of you guys are like, that's too long, Doug. I'm not trying to build a cathedral overnight. I'm looking at this 5-7 years because I've been disappointed enough trying to build things short, and I just don't manage my disappointments that well. I'm too hard on myself, so I'm just looking at everything in 5 to 7 year increments, but which really comes back to the 5 conversations I started last month, hopefully are ready this month.
Yeah, because if you're building that progression, then every month you still have people that might be ready to become a coach because you've gone through that whole process. So it becomes very consistent over time. What is your thoughts around, okay, so when you're doing a explore call with a new client, doing the whole trilogy and really trying to paint the picture of the coach, do you push the coach idea? Do you just drop the seed and then let it develop? Because there's always conflict around some people saying, do it all right up front versus I'm not comfortable talking about that up front. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of different methods to that.
I think there's that's where our soft skills come in. I would say it seems like more often than not, I plant the seed of, like if I was talking to you, Gary, geez, Gary, I can already tell you're so excited. I know we're ordering your program today. Man, it wouldn't shock me here in a couple months when you're down 20, 30 pounds that you're probably helping a few buddies out. So we'll chat about that down in the future. What I just did there was I planted a seed of hope. I postured that Gary's going to be successful on this program. Because remember, not that I'm in the belief business, because I'm not. But when people say, I don't believe that this is going to work for me, Doug, I'm like, you don't have to believe. I'll believe for you until you're ready to believe for yourself here in about 2 weeks when you're down 10, 12 pounds. then you can believe. In the meantime, we're going to follow the plan, right? And so, Gary, it's 100% about, I think, planting little seeds. Like, geez, David, the way that you just commented on that Facebook, group, you sound like a coach, man. We're going to have to explore that sometime. Just planting little seeds of hope and excitement for them. But also sometimes I've just been real upfront and been like, gosh, Michaela, I can't get you off my mind. Last couple of weeks, the way you're rocking the program, you'd make one heck of a health coach. Seriously. I mean, I don't even know. I know you don't even know really what we do. I'm just letting you know. I see a lot of health coaches. I was just on a Zoom this morning with 15 other coaches, and man, you would be incredible. Would you ever like to just explore what that might look or sound like? Let them answer. Hear what the concepts or the fears are. And then whatever it is, don't try to overcome it. No. It doesn't take too much time. No. And then what you're doing is you're getting into a sales role. Tit for tat, tit for tat. Michaela could say, oh my gosh, I could never be a coach. Hey, no, and I'm not saying you are. I'm just letting you know we should explore it sometime, because regardless of how you feel now, I'm letting you know you'd rock it. So anyway, let's talk about that another time and pivot the conversation. What's going to happen when me and Michaela get off the phone? Michaela's going to put her head on her pillow tonight and go, gosh, wonder why Doug thinks I'd be a good health coach. She's going to think about it. She's going to mention it to her husband. She's going to circle back around next week. And all of a sudden she might pay attention. She might even go do some Googling or some YouTubing, trying to find stuff on health coaching. You don't know. And when the timing is right, because you're coming back around a week or two later, maybe you don't even bring it up for a couple weeks. So Michaela, I know it's been a couple weeks since I told you you'd be a great health coach. Would you like me to send you a recorded Vimeo link of some other health coaches sharing their stories of transformation and how their life has been improved since deciding to pay it forward? Again, I'm still not asking Michaela to be a coach. I'm dropping little seeds of hope into her Facebook Messenger or into the text thread so she can watch it on her time, so she can come to have that discovery. And then, you never know. You might turn around and wake up one morning to a do not reply, and it says, Michaela has ordered her health coaching kit. And you're like, what the heck? Where'd that come from? Not always, but once in a while it does happen that way. It's just, Gary, I think it's our job to just plant seeds, water those seeds, encourage, challenge, support, and then let people come to it at a little bit more their pace without being should and told on,
I agree. And interestingly enough, I think you actually may have described very similar to what Michaela's exact story was, which was fairly accurate. That's really funny. I agree, man. I think that when we push too hard, we build walls. And I think that when you plant seeds like that and just encourage people to take a look and not push them, then the walls come down and you allow them to percolate on their own. Very, very, very powerful stuff. So why don't we open this up, since we have about 15 minutes left here before our 11 o'clock hour, and open it up to anybody who might have some questions on their mind for Doug. And if not, I can come up with a few more, but I'd love to hear what you guys have on your hearts now that we have a Doug live with us, which is a rarity. And Doug, again, we thank you for all your wisdom and joining us today. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Bueller?
Hey, Doug. So, I'm not bashful, sorry. So I keep hearing this idea, and you said it, you said it yourself a couple of times, this whole idea of the 5-in-1 for coaching. And, it's kind of hard. It's almost as if that's like law of averages, but you can't really tell, it's not really, we haven't seen that happen. And I'm wondering how you go about, I guess, getting that to happen, or how you go about seeing that better.
Yeah, let me clear that up, David. I want to make sure we're talking about two completely different things. One is, if someone has some big goals, or hopefully all of us, you have some big goals, and of where you want your business to be at in January. Why don't we just focus on doing everything we can to start 5 clients and 1 new coach between now and then? We're gonna enter January with 4 new coaches and 20 new clients. It's great momentum. Now, you might end up with 24 clients and only 2 coaches. That's okay. I want the goal to be 5 and 1 if at all possible. So, because we just know we're constantly filling that funnel. Because in December, you might start 3 coaches and you started none in November. I just want us to average, if at all possible, 5 and 1. Just so our business is going forward, because if you guys are like me, I have people canceling their Be Slim sometimes once or twice a month. And it's like, gosh, darn it. Those used to really bother me until I realized that they don't now. And that's a whole nother training, because they'll be back. And while I'm on that subject, I go out of my way to treat them more like a real person and a friend after they've canceled their Be Slim versus stop talking to them because they're no longer a client. That's also building trust and respect too. So, but then there's a mindset that I've trained on that I try to talk about of, out of every 5 clients, there should be a health coach. Well, I'll tell you right now, out of every 5 clients actually that would be a lie. Just because for the average, okay, I'm going to talk about average, because now Tia's and I's, where our business is at, we're only focusing on people that we think are going to become a coach. We don't know, and they don't even know that. But we sign them up with intention of that's going to be a really good coach, hopefully, if they decide. So my averages are definitely a little higher, but my business is in a completely different spot because that's my strategic plan. But I would say for the average coach that I work with, it's probably closer to 7 to 9 clients to 1 new coach. However, what if we just had the mindset of, out of every 5 clients in our organization, or in your front line, let's just say you have 25 active clients right now, remove the health coaches. That leaves you maybe with 19 true clients. I would love to see out of those 19, at least 3 of those become coaches between now and January. We can't rush the process, but it'd be nice for that average to work out, but it's very rare that it does. But that just shows that that's work on us, because if that's not, where are those clients coming from? And 2, are we not dripping and planting the seed enough? Or did we plant the seed, or did we maybe say too much? Maybe you're on this line, not you, David, but maybe you. Maybe you told somebody that they need to become a coach after they hit fat burn, and they put the wall up real quick. Do not ever bring that up with me ever again. Maybe they just need a couple months to marinate to where you can earn the trust to say, I know a few months ago you said you didn't really want to explore this, but David, I can't get you off my mind, man. You'd make a heck of a health coach. Look at all the people you're encouraging out there. You plant that seed again, but take a few months to build on the trust. So, long answer to the 5 and 1, but it's a little bit of an average. Don't get just too dependent on it being exactly 5 and 1.
It seems like the most important thing is that campaign of authentic relationship, and dripping on them in a way, but not dripping on them to become a coach. It's building that relationship, inserting that they could be a great coach when you feel it's appropriate, and then continually walking that path and waiting for them to kind of notice it themselves as well. Awesome. Stacy, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Doug. Thank you so much. My question is, when you're training new coaches, are you using the Simple Systems as your platform for training?
Yeah. The first thing I do with a new coach is when they order their health coaching kit, or I'm going to put this in a coach that I'm working with has their new coach. Let's put it in a more of a teaching role. Like, for example, I have one yesterday. I have Rosie, who just signed up Josiah. Rosie has Josiah. Josiah's the new coach. I asked the coach that I'm working with to put me in a group text with the new coach. So there can be an introduction. So we're introducing team coaching. Is this okay? I talk about this, Gary? Okay. That way, conversation, communication, this coach, Rosie, has never signed up a client before or a coach before. It's like starting a new client. Like, what do I do? Well, I don't want to put I'm going to use some different words here, but I don't want to put the keys to my kingdom and my future in the hands of an amateur who's never done it before. So if all that coach ever knows is team coaching, it also builds good synergy if at all possible. So hopefully you have trust with that coach. And they say, hey, Doug, I'd like to introduce you to Josiah. Josiah just ordered his health coach kit, and I'm excited for him. I'll reply back with, cool, Rosie. Thanks. Hi, Josiah. Nice to meet you. My name is Doug Wood. Look forward to staying in communication. In the meantime, here's a starting point. I enter the link of a starting point, the recorded starting point. We have those, Gary, it's in Simple Systems. And I'll have them watch that. After you watch that, let's all hop on a call. So I have them watch a starting point, which is pretty much covering why we do three-way calls, and the most basic things. Because what does us coaches have to do? We want to give this new coach, we want to baptize them in Optavia overnight. And it's like right now they just need one or two things to focus on. They don't need the whole convention experience. Okay. It'd be a lot. So I want them to watch starting point. Let's hop on a Zoom. The first thing I ask is, hey, why'd you decide to pay it forward? I'm so glad you did, but where you at? Guide them to senior coach of what's possible. And here's how we're going to do it. What were your questions? What were your takeaways from the starting point Zoom? And I'm kind of reiterating the importance of three-way calls. And then I ask them for a couple names like, gosh, Stacy, so who's on your heart? Who you want to share this program with first? And a couple people. Awesome. What's their names? Jill. Awesome. Your friend Jill's going to probably, possibly do well in this plan. Listen, why don't you do this, Stacy? Why don't you text over to Jill right now? And I get a little information. I'm literally teaching them how to start the conversation so they don't make it weird. Because I also, in building my trust with that new coach, is assuring them I'm not going to try to sell your friends the program. I'm going to ask them some questions. We're going to hear what's important to them. And if the program's appropriate, I'm going to suggest it. And if it's not, you have my faith that I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't know if you're a great candidate for the plan. They automatically, their fear of doing the three-way call with you goes down, because that's a lot of times why three-way calls don't happen, is they think that you, the business coach, is going to talk their program into the program into, or the person into something. And then I just keep the conversation focused around who we're talking to next, who we're going to share the program with. I help them with the soft skills of inviting their friend or their coworker to a call with their business coach or me, one of us. And so that hopefully a three-way call, at least a couple of them, can take place. Because if people can just hear that we're not sending somebody to a website, we're not trying to talk someone into doing the program. Once they hear that and we ask them these questions, they're like, oh, I get it now. And it usually flows a lot smoother from there. So that's kind of how I start coaches. But all that is also on Simple Systems.
One other question, if that's okay. So moving forward, when your coaches are like 1 and 2 and 3 weeks in, are they following Simple Systems like by, as it goes?
I try to be Simple Systems for my new coach.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can get in Zoom binge land, and they're doing a lot of training, but are they doing a lot of acting, meaning action? Mm-hmm. So, because our system is like an engine, surprisingly, an engine in our car does not run without spark plugs. And if they're doing one thing but not the other, if they're well trained, but they're not starting any conversations, you can't be too disappointed. So I try to be the Simple Systems for them and feed them just what they need to know. Because a lot of times someone will be like, hey, I'm ready to put a billboard up on my car. And they haven't started a conversation. I'm like, oh, I could save you some money here. Billboards on cars haven't been successful for me anyway. Maybe they have for you guys, but I can, would you mind if I shared with you, some goals or some things that could really help you move forward? And I'll go back to helping them with their story. Maybe a concept or a fear of three-way calls came up. Maybe they've done a couple three-way calls, and I remind them, the goal of a three-way call is not for me to sign up your client. The goal of the three-way call is for me to transfer the skills so you understand the questions that we ask, to not give away the how before we know the why. The bonus is if they happen to sign up. I'm going to move inside now. Got landscapers showing up, ready to turn on lawnmowers. So that's the goal of to do that. And then there might be, because my next suggestion might be like, well, let's get, or they're scared to put it out there. I want to help them. Yeah, I want to help them with, am I freezing, Gary?
Mm-hmm.
Am I freezing?
Yes.
All right.
You were a little bit, but you were good now.
I'm good now. Okay. So I want to help them. I want to give them action steps, but make sure that they're comfortable doing the action steps of why it's important, and how it will benefit them.
Great. Thank you.
I love that. Soft skills, build the trust relationships, and be the simple systems for your coaches, not send them to simple systems. Be it for them until they're ready to see it all and be able to discern what is appropriate for them. Anybody else? MJ, you have a question? Go ahead.
Hi there, Doug. How are you?
Hey, good.
So it's a little bit of a question. You may find something to share. I had a very busy year last year, and things seemed to roll around really well. And then somewhere around October, November, I had this massive vacate of a tremendous amount of people. I had an ED decide, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And I found out after she quit doing it, I couldn't even communicate with her people. And it turned out that she wasn't really communicating with her people. So there was just this big exodus. And of course, I think you said something that made me think that we're similar in ways. I sort of beat myself up about it for about 2 or 3 months. And And so it was very depressing for me. And I kept thinking, well, what am I doing wrong here? So I came into this next year being very busy. I decided I really had something come on my heart, and I started working on it. And I think it had a lot to change how I felt about a lot of things. I started working on a women's wellness ministry I want to offer. Not be paid for it or anything. I just felt that I was called, that I need to go out there and do it. And come from a different place. Yes, I think I learned to talk too much, sell too much. You should really do this, but I'll just sit back and wait and see what you do. And of course, they would run away. So it was kind of an interesting thing, because somewhere after convention, all of a sudden, I'm now having this drip. I'm having all kinds of people who left. They're coming back. And you're right. Suddenly I want to put my arms around them. I want to connect with them. I am a different person now, because it's more important for me to help them see how this is a life-transforming thing. It is no longer weight loss. And I think this is coming my way, but still there's just, it's slow. So I'm just accepting the slow. I kind of still feel like I'm in the waiting room. It's obviously something I'm supposed to be learning here. But I want to push it forward. Yes, I want to see the end of this year bring me back where I was.
Right. So MJ, I'll leave you guys all with this. And I'm so glad you brought this up. Look for quality, not quantity. A lot of times in our business, we're looking to go super wide and get all these either EDs or clients or even lots of, but a lot of the best quality attracts quality. So MJ, I've done the same thing. I've had some people kind of move on, and I didn't know their people. I wasn't in a relationship with their clients or their coaches. Not that you want to be in a relationship with all their clients, because that's just exhausting and that's not really our job. But I think it is important for us to go out of our way to start looking in depth. And why Stacy, we now team coach and start our coaches together, because if Rosie in the middle decides that she needs to go on a sojourn and go live in Africa, I'm in relationship with Josiah to where I'm building in depth. But also, MJ, your first couple of clients, your coach's clients, find them on Facebook. Build a relationship with them, because your new coach doesn't know how to be a talent scout and look for coaches. But if you see one of her clients is a rock star, they're always talking in the client support page, they're always on the Habits of Health call, it may be your job to offer them coaching, because clearly the coach in between is scared or doesn't know how or doesn't see the value. I still say this, Gary, and I know you've seen this too. Some of the best paid people in Optavia are fully integrated nationals. For some reason in our mind, we're thinking you got to be global, you got to be presidential. The best paid people in this business, I'm just saying the average of. You can build such a solid organization at national director and get paid really well. So we have to go back and ask ourselves, are we building rank or title? Or we just want income and security and to make a difference in our lives and in people's lives? Yeah, I'd love for everyone to be global or beyond. But more so, I'd love for you to work with some quality lines of business that attract quality, and you're building this deep-rooted system that's not built on I don't mean to be, these hurricanes come through, they jack everything up. We want our businesses to be hurricane-proof. And how we do that is we build clients on top of clients, coaches on top of coaches, EDs on top of EDs, FIBCs on FIBCs, versus trying to go so thin, max ourselves out, and we're so exhausted and life happens and like, man, that was a lot of work for things to be hard, for that short amount of time. So anyway, Gary, I know our time's up, but I've just had a joy spending the last hour with you guys.
Yes, thank you very much. I do have one more question if you have another minute here. And the last question would just be, is your passion to serve so infectious? I'm just curious to know, after all these years, integrated president, director, a huge business, you probably don't have to work anymore if you really didn't want to, as far as finances go. What still drives you guys these days? And we can wrap it up with that, just to give us some inspiration.
Yeah, I've gotten that question a lot lately. Yeah, you're right. If it was for the money, I could have quit or backed off or literally chilled about 4.5 years ago. But T and I made a commitment that we got free and we got some answers. Optavia gave us some answers to our prayers and our frustrations and some needs that we had. And now we've made the promise that we'll never bring anyone into this business without at least going the distance with them until we've transferred the skill to them to where they can duplicate. And we want to see other people have the freedom that we have. And so the problem is that list keeps expanding of people. But at the same time, guys, nobody knows about Optavia. Forget MetaFast and Take Shape for Life. Nobody knows who we are. I think I was on the road a week and a half ago, and I went to some areas where there's nobody around, and they're like, "Oh, isn't this cool?" I'm like, "The only one?" I'm like, "No, it's not cool." But I'm glad you're having an event. But you need partners. We have to join together as Optavia and build this movement, because I did a video on this too a couple weeks ago. I saw people evacuating their homes because of the floods in Houston, and their most prized possession is a backpack and their big screen TV on their left hand side of their shoulder to put inside of their boat that came to rescue them. Like, people value, that's their valuables, that's where their possessions are. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but people are hurting. They just don't know a way. They don't know an exit strategy. They're waiting on the government to bail them out or some healthcare system. And the truth is we get the opportunity to get back in the driver's seat of our own life. And I just feel like it's our duty to give that to the people that we care about the most, even if they don't see it yet. Find the people that do see it and help them succeed, and then transfer the skills that you've been given and that you're learning to them. And yeah, your goal is to work yourself out of a job to where they can now pay it forward and do that in that line of business. And you develop all these solid lines of businesses that technically you're there more as a consultant versus a three-way call trench worker with them. But until then, we got to find those people to transfer the skills to. So why do I keep doing it, Gary? There's a lot of people I love that had that been their home, they'd be walking out with their big screen TV as their most prized possession, and not until they want it. And even if they don't want it, I'll move on. But I know there's enough people out there that do want what we have, and they just don't know about it because I've been too shy. Or even with our success in Optavia and our successful life, I'm still too shy. I'm still caring what people think too much, and not being as bold sometimes as I could to at least initiate the conversation. And then things like that. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, it has been an honor and a privilege to have you on our call today. Thank you so much for imparting your wisdom and your passion to serve. We all love you and Tia. We love watching you guys train. We love hearing from you guys. And I just really appreciate the time today to invest into my team and to help them grow and to the ability that they want to grow this business.
You're very welcome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.